welcome to Remus Show. My name is Vinicius, but I'm here to talk about Remus, the Hallowed Cello. He's an official character of mine in the universe of Runeterra, the IP where there's League of Legends, Legends of Runeterra, Runed King, well, Riot's IP. And on this universe, specifically on the card game lore, they expanded the lore of one of my favorite characters, Gwen, the Hallowed Seamstress. Because before that expansion, all that we had was like she was crafted as a doll by Isolde, a seamstress that lived in Camavor. And after some time, Isolde would be courted by Viego, the king of Camavor. Then the story proceeds, Isolde dies and Viego doesn't accept it. He tries to revive her at the Blessed Isles at the time, the place where would become the Shadow Isles, after all the ruination. Okay, ruination bad, ruination bring the black mist, undead creatures and all that, but by some way that the Riot hints at being a fragment of Isolde's soul, Gwen, the little doll made by the seamstress, is now alive and as big as a human, with her scissors, needles and threads, but in an enormous size. And that basically is what we had of Gwen before. And like, she kinda participated on the Sentinels of Light. But then Legend of Runeterra brings us the Midnight Revel match. Their story behind it isn't a lot, actually. That's just, oh, Gwen found a mansion at the woods. She entered and discovered it was home to the Midnight Revel. Then she protected the friendly spirits of them from the Black Mist. But like, bro, the amount of characters that are gorgeous, too many interesting designs, this kind of masquerade ball with some really over-the-top clothing, kinda bizarre. I just love it. And that's where Remus come. This card, Ghastly Band. I felt in love with the tall skinny guy playing the cello. I can't explain, it's just so cool. And it happened. I made a full RPG character out of this card. It's on the RPG system of Runeterra, system that is still being made by a Brazilian, Ardo. Here's his Twitter. Then I composed an entire 3 minutes long official soundtrack for him that will play in this video when I read his story. And the art of him being used in this video is made by AI, the one on the thumbnail, but we are already working on his own official art. But anyway, here's the full story of Remus. A long time ago, when Noxus hadn't even come into existence yet, Remus was conceived in Runeterra in uncommon birth on the islands of Hylia. His life, as expected, had no major disagreements. He fell in love with music and pursued his career in this way, going through the most diverse contracts possible as a cello musician on the Blessed Isles. But what captivated him most was when he started working in a mansion in the middle of the forest, serving alongside several other servants, a rich family. Before that, he was nothing more than a musician looking for a living. But from then on, he was educated, he was transformed, the manner taught him to be. The butler was the one who first noticed his lack of class, his incapacity, and it was bringing Remus down that he would help raise his level. But the person who actually started to teach him was the conductor of the mansion's band. All the servants were exceptional, eccentric and proud, which required Remus to reconfigure. But within a few weeks, he fit in well, becoming someone else. And that was how their bonds were strengthened throughout the mansion's living quarters. And then, ruination occurred. After an embittered Camavorian king desecrated the waters of Maokai out of selfishness and irresponsibility, bringing ages of darkness to the now called Shadow Isles. The Black Fog affected practically everyone on the island in several different ways. To the majority, death of the soul and corruption of the body was the conclusion. To others, they could no longer be said to be human. For the owners of the mansion, the destiny was that first one. For those servants, the fate was the latter. They began to survive as spirits inside the mansion, trying to protect themselves from the evils of the Black Mist for centuries. With the lack of anyone to present themselves and serve, the servants started from time to time to continue their shows for themselves, organizing dances and parties among themselves, as if they were presenting themselves to their now deceased masters, but without anyone else who could really watch them. Or at least that was the case shortly before an honored guest was welcomed into the mansion. Gwen, the hallowed seamstress. Gwen was finding herself again after the victory of the Sentinels of Light, seeking new goals and understanding herself, while roaming the forests of the Shadow Isles, with the intention of ending the Black Mist. In the midst of this, she found this mansion and was welcomed very well by the friendly spirits of the servants, helping them fight the Black Mist by granting aid through their sacred mist. Gwen's stay gave a new meaning to the afterlife of the servants at the mansion, who now had someone to sing to, someone to dance to, and someone to talk to. She gladly embraced it all. Just as they needed her help, she needed someone to share her sophistication, her joy, her enthusiasm, her feeling of being alive, and being able to fight against the Black Mist. During Gwen's stay, many bonds were formed between the friendly spirits of the mansion. She was mesmerized by the lively moments of the dancers, by the butler's organization, by the band's music, by everyone's hospitality. Along with her surprise, the same could be said for the servants, who were permeated with her joy. Out of this congruence was born great satisfaction. Gwen shared her story and experience with everyone, sewed on new clothes, taught them part of her learning, and gave part of her sacred mist to those servants who remained closest to her, with the mission given to them to make sure that the Black Mist is not afflicting other locations in Runeterra. As she only wants to do good and protect Runeterra, so she commanded, who could then check other parts of Runeterra while Gwen takes charge of the Shadow Isles. Remus was one of those lucky servants. With her arrival, Gwen greatly filled his eye, body, and mind. As long as she was in his field of vision, his ghostly body didn't work well, his heart beat too fast, and if she wasn't around, his mind imagined it. Something in her posture, her philosophy, her passion for the world captivated him to the point of addiction, a sensation of carnal passion that he hadn't felt in a long time. When finishing performances with the band, Remus liked to imagine that her applause was intended for him, like a constant light each night encouraging him to persist. But this blessing was not only given to this poor passionate one. Astro, the mansion's poet, also received this mission. Astro, since his arrival, has tried to impress her with his advanced speech, with his poetic flirtations, and with his enviable beauty. Gwen's falls to his temptation easily in a subtle and graceful way. Because of this, Remus tries to overcome him and is determined to do so. That's it for this video. There are so many things that I could show about Remus, like how I made this character mini on Titancraft, or this character sheet on Dice Cloud, but I don't know if you guys would want to see it. Anyways, please like the video. Thank you for watching. And now a message to Brazilians watching me. Você aí que quer me apoiar com o meu trabalho, já que eu tô começando, meu Pix vai estar aí na descrição com qualquer valor que você queira apoiar. E se esses vídeos derem certo, eu vou preparar um Apoia-se, um Patreon, eu vou organizar melhor as coisas. Bye.